On the first day of school, when seats were assigned, I ended up with the lowest entrance exam score in the class. Everyone thought I was just some slacker who snuck in. My desk mate even quietly asked if I needed tutoring. I just smiled and said nothing. They had no idea that inside this lowest ranked body hid a soul from the future. This time, I was coming in just above the cutoff line, but I'd leave as the top scholar, rewriting summer high school's history under the name Yi. If you could start life over, when would you choose to begin? My answer is high school. My name is Yi Chu, and I'm a reincarnator. In my past life, I was playful and rebellious, attending a private high school. 3 years of muddling through, failing the college entrance exam. University was just a waste of time. By the time I truly woke up, I was already past 30. Maybe fate took pity on me, giving me another chance, kicking me back to the second semester of ninth grade. A prodigal son turning over a new leaf felt like a different person. I started studying like crazy, hitting the books until dawn every day. With that drive, I exceeded expectations on the high school entrance exam and surprisingly got into the city's best high school. Summer high school. I still remember how overjoyed mom and dad were when the admissions office called 2 months ago. Even our dog got a big bone to chew on. In my past life, I didn't even get into the worst high school in the county, and my parents had to pull strings to get me into a private school. Since I'm getting a second chance, I won't let them down again. School started in September. The entrance of summer high school was packed with students and parents, noisy and bustling. I didn't join the crowd. Instead, I sat alone on the stone steps under a big tree nearby, quietly watching everything. The sun was blazing and the wind was hot, but it felt great. I told myself, my new life starts here. Xiao Chu, why aren't you getting in line? A booming voice came. I looked up. It was my dad, Yi Dalong. His skin was dark, his frame tall, and he walked over holding 2 popsicles. I took one and said, "It's too hot and crowded. I'll line up later." My dad sat down beside me. He started rambling. "Xiao Chu, since we won't be around, take good care of yourself. Study hard, get along with your classmates, and call me if you need money." In my past life, I would have gotten annoyed by this and might have even walked off. But now I listen to every word, nodding along from time to time. Having grown up once, I realize being an obedient child isn't actually that hard. As for whether to listen or do as told, isn't it still up to me? The sun grew harsher. Under the trees, many students and parents waiting for registration gathered. Time slipped away in the chirping of birds, and the crowd gradually thinned. I stood up and followed my father to the admissions office at the school gate to register. A woman in a suit with glasses wiped her sweat and asked, "Name?" "Yi Chu." "Yi Chu, right? Class 12, grade 10. Go over there to find your homeroom teacher." My father paid the tuition and walked over. He patted my shoulder and said, "Go on. Once you leave, I'll head home too." I slung my bag over my shoulder and turned to walk into the school. Halfway, I suddenly looked back and saw my father still standing at the gate watching me. My nose stung. I waved at him, and he waved back with a smile. I strode toward the assembly point with only one thought in my mind. Rest assured, this time I won't disappoint you all. At the assembly area, each homeroom teacher held a class board with white background and red characters, from Class 1 to Class 15 of grade 10. Summer high school enrolled 600 students this year, 40 per class. The admission score line was 630, and I scored exactly 631 on the high school entrance exam, barely making the cut. The day I checked my results, I felt that fate was really giving me a chance. I followed the class signs until I stopped in front of a young female teacher. She had a slender figure and an oval face. Her features were delicate, no makeup, but especially pleasing to the eye. The sunlight made her fair skin break out in a light sweat, and she was sizing me up too. Our eyes met. She smiled first and said, "Hello, classmate. I'm Song Junju, the homeroom teacher of Class 12. What's your name?" "Yi Chu." She paused, then softly recited, "Yishang Chu Yang Gon Su Yu." Dew on leaves dries in the morning sun. Then she ticked next to my name and pointed behind her. "Go queue up first. There are still a few classmates who haven't arrived." I walked over and stood behind the group of wilted boys and girls. The sun beating down on our heads. Everyone was secretly sizing each other up. I heard a girl whisper, "So handsome," and a boy muttered, "So tall, I'm jealous." I just stood firm when a boy about my height ahead suddenly turned around with an overly familiar air. "Hey bro, how tall are you?" 1 meter, 82. "Damn, that's tall." He looked up at me, his face full of shock. I couldn't help but laugh. Eat more, sleep early, you can grow too. He made a proper bow and said, thank you, just like an ancient chivalrous knight. I laughed even more. Meeting an interesting classmate on the first day made me look forward to high school life even more. He extended his hand. I am Ma Xiaoqian. Nice to meet you. Ye che heyu. I shook his hand. Ma Xiaoyan immediately let out a long sigh. Handsome and with such a nice name, you really don't leave us ordinary folks any way to survive. This guy really had high EQ. We chatted idly. When the last few people arrived, Song Junju clapped her hands. Everyone's here. Let's head back to class. As we entered the teaching building lobby, the cool air instantly dispelled the heat. We followed Song Junju up to the third floor. She stood at the door of class 12, grade 10, and earnestly reminded us, this is where we'll have class from now on. Don't get the wrong room. She was 23 this year. It was her first time as a homeroom teacher, and you could tell she was a bit nervous, but she still tried to keep a smile. Kumein, sit anywhere for now. We'll assign seats in the evening. I went straight to the last row, and Ma Xiaoyan plopped down next to me. In the classroom, nobody knew each other, so we just looked at one another. Song Junju picked up the prepared script, cleared her throat. New semester, new beginning. Welcome to summer middle school. Over the next year, I will be here with you all. A crew-cut boy in the corner started clapping, and then the sparse applause grew into a whole. A ponytail girl raised her hand and asked, Teacher, why only 1 year? Song Junju explained that in the second year of high school, students would be divided into arts and science tracks, and the teachers would change. Then she continued, tomorrow starts military training, lasting half a month. Ah, military training again? The sun is so harsh, the crew-cut boy complained in a drawn-out tone. A few girls covered their mouths and laughed. Song Junju wasn't angry either. She waited with a smile for everyone to quiet down, then gave some additional instructions. Finally, she said she needed 3 boys to go get the military training uniforms. The crew-cut boy jumped up and shouted, I'll go. The other 2 boys also stood up, and the 3 followed Song Junju out of the classroom. As soon as the teacher left, Ma Xiaoyan immediately showed his true colors, groaning and lying on the desk. 15 days of military training, such a headache. I patted him on the shoulder. Get through it, and your headache will go away. He rolled his eyes. Is that even human talk? Taking advantage of no teacher around, many classmates started getting to know each other. The short-haired girl sitting in front of me turned around, looked at me openly, and said, Hey, what's your name? There was a hint of heroic spirit between her brows, and her eyes were clear and unflinching. I smiled and said, Yichu. Nice name. I'm Bai Yuan. She gave me a thumbs up, then pulled her deskmate over. This is Li Ware. That girl looked like a startled fawn, shrinking into Bai Yuan's arms, blushing and stammering. Hi. I nodded. Ma Xiaoyan's voice suddenly drifted over wistfully. Are you guys forgetting me? He looked full of grievance. I quickly cleared my throat, patted him on the shoulder, and introduced, This is Ma Xiaoyan. His face instantly changed. Beaming, he cupped his hands towards the 2 girls. Hello, beauties. I'm Ma Xiaoqian, Ma as in success, Xiao as in small, Tian as in sky. He even pointed at the ceiling. Bai Yuan burst out laughing, and Li Ware also covered her mouth with a giggle. I was silently amazed what a social butterfly. While they were chatting, Song Junju returned with people carrying the military training uniforms. The clothes were in standard sizes, 1.75 meters for boys, 1.65 meters for girls. The boy with the buzz cut cracked jokes while handing out the clothes. Don't worry, teacher, I can still tell boys from girls. The whole class laughed. I touched the jungle camouflage uniform in a plastic bag. I felt quite emotional. In my past life, the private school's military training didn't have such uniforms. This time, I have to experience high school life fully. After distributing the clothes, Song Junju organized everyone to introduce themselves, saying they could talk about hobbies and talents. She set an example first. My name is Song Junju. I like reading and am good at calligraphy. Then she looked at the girl in the first row by the wall, her eyes curved with a smile. The girl stood up nervously, her voice trembling. Hi everyone. My name is Chuning. I like reading comics and am good at drawing. Song Junju immediately responded, Great. From now on, our class newspaper will be in your hands. The girl looked at the teacher's gentle smile and nodded firmly. One by one, everyone introduced themselves. Some could dance, some could sing, and some blushed as they said they had no special talents. Each time, Song Junju gently comforted them. It's okay. You're still students. Your energy should still be focused on studying. It was the buzzcut guy's turn. He stood up with a lively expression. My name is Gao Yuan. I love gaming, especially Honor of Kings. If you want to rank up, come to me, I'll carry you. Then it was Li Yu-er's turn. In a soft voice. My name is Li Yu-er. I like reading books. I don't have any specialties. Bai Yuang was much more cheerful. I'm Bai Yuang. I like badminton, table tennis, and running. I'm best at badminton. Then it was my turn. I stood up. Since I was older in spirit than them, I wasn't too nervous. Organizing my words, I said, my name is Yi Chu. I like basketball, games, and boxing. My specialty is boxing. The moment I finished speaking, the whole class fell silent. Everyone gasped in unison. No one could have imagined that a clean-cut, tall, and lean guy would be good at boxing. Ma Xiaoqian looked as if he'd seen a ghost, while Bai Yueying stared at the bulging veins on my arm, lost in thought. Song Junju's eyes also flashed with surprise. I'm not bragging. In my past life, I was obsessed with boxing. For a while. I would skip class and head to the boxing gym. My coach even praised me for my talent. After being reborn, my body became even stronger. During summer break, I picked up boxing again, and I've got real six-pack abs. The moment I sat down, Ma Xiaoqian shot to his feet. He cupped his hands in a salute and bowed in all directions. Iam Ma Xiaotian, pleased to make your acquaintance. I hope you'll all take good care of me. It is truly my honor to meet everyone here. That Shinibyu speech hit like a truck. The whole class burst out laughing. Even Song Junju covered her mouth, her shoulders shaking. But he wasn't done yet. He cleared his throat and said solemnly, I love reading wuxia novels. I hope one day I can write a novel about a spirited journey through the martial world. Thunderous applause broke out. I gave him a thumbs up under the desk. Ma Xiaoyan lifted his chin, his face full of pride. At lunchtime, Song Junju led us to the cafeteria. We hadn't gotten our meal cards yet since we just enrolled. The school provided meals. I grabbed a tray and piled up a mountain of rice. Braised pork and tomato beef brisket were heaped high. Ma Xiaoyan's eyes nearly popped out. Bro, can you finish all that? I said you need to eat enough to grow taller. The whole class watched me eat. It was like watching a mukbang. I wolfed down that pile of rice in no time. Still felt like something was missing. Ma Xiaoyan looked gloomily at the extra rice he had taken. He asked if I could help him eat some. I slid my plate over. He immediately scraped half his rice and a chicken leg onto mine, muttering under his breath, if you want someone to help you eat, you've got to offer something in return. Tit for tat. Song Junju stood there dumbfounded. Clearly, he had never seen anyone eat so much. After the meal, Song Junju took us around campus to get familiar with the place. A few imposing classroom buildings, soft, rubberized running tracks, and a large, lush green playground. I took a deep breath. Now, this is what high school should feel like. My last life was just prison time. Back in the classroom, they started assigning seats based on middle school exam scores. Students with higher scores got to pick first. So Muyu, Guangnan, one after another, Bai Yueying chose the seats we had been sitting in that morning. When Ma Xiaoyan's name was called, he shot me a glance and went over. In the end, I was the only one left in the classroom. I had the lowest entrance score in the entire class. It was already an incredible stroke of luck to barely get into Summer Sun Middle School. Satisfied, I walked over to the seat Ma Xiaoyan had specially saved for me. Song Junju closed her notebook and smiled at me. You're the last one. Go ahead. Ma Xiaoyan is waiting for you. I sat down and said, thanks. Ma Xiaoyan patted his chest. Don't be so polite with me. Just because Brother Yi helped me with lunch. Today we have to sit together. Bai Yueying pulled Li Yu and turned around, saying with a smile, take care of each other. I smiled and nodded. And so, high school life officially began. The next morning, I was woken up by the alarm clock. I stared blankly at the unfamiliar ceiling for a moment. This was a rented apartment in a neighborhood near the school. Summer Sun Middle School didn't provide dormitories. Since my family lived in the countryside, I had to rent a place. My dad paid the full 3 years' rent in one lump sum. Patting my shoulder, he said not to worry about money. Study hard. In my past life, I didn't worry about money, nor did I study well. This time is different. I got up and opened the English vocabulary app on my phone, listening to Exchange. I made the bed, washed up, and left with my backpack. Outside the neighborhood, An Annie was pushing a cart selling grilled cold noodles and pancake rolls. I scanned to pay 7 yuan and ordered a pancake roll, eating while listening to the vocabulary words. The cool morning breeze brushed through my hair. The sun shone on me. Everything was heading in the right direction. When I arrived at the classroom, the bell had just rung, and I walked in right on time. The whole class had changed into jungle camouflage military training uniforms. Only I was still wearing a white t-shirt with a puppy print and black pants. Song Junju looked at me and said helplessly, "Go change quickly, we're waiting for you." I quickly grabbed the military uniform from the desk compartment and rushed into the restroom. Standing on one leg, I put on the pants. I pulled on the top and hurried back. A long line had already formed at the classroom door. A dark-skinned man, wearing an instructor's uniform, frowned and asked, "You're Yi Chu?" I answered yes. He turned to Song Junju and gave a silly grin. "Teacher Song, I'll take them over first." When he turned back, his smile vanished instantly. He said coldly, "Yi Chu, fall in. Follow me." I shoved the changed pants into Song Junju's hands. I clasped my hands together in a gesture of thanks and quickly ran to the end of the line. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw her covering her mouth and snickering. The instructor led us to one side of the training ground. He barked an order, line up by height, boys and girls separately. Boys in front, girls behind. Tall ones on the left, short ones on the right. 2 rows for boys, 2 rows for girls. After a flurry of fumbling, we finally stood in formation. The instructor bellowed, "Slow, too slow. If you line up at this speed again, you'll start with 2 hours of standing at attention." And his eyes locked onto me. "Yi Chu, step forward." "Yes." I took a step to the left. "Loud and clear." "Good. Loud enough. From now on, that's your standard." "Do you know why I told you to step out?" "Yes, because I was late." "Good. Recognizing your mistake." "Azahevard. Do 50 push-ups." "Any objections?" "No, sir." Without a word, I dropped and started. 50 push-ups is no small feat. My face turned bright red. Sweat dripped from the tips of my hair. Veins bulged on my arms. 49, 50. I pushed myself up and stood at attention. The instructor applauded. "Not bad, impressive." He glanced at the others. Sneering, he said, "If you all can do it like Yi Chu, complete 50 push-ups, then break the rules all you want. If you can't," a single word popped into everyone's mind. "Devil." "Why did Teacher Song come down? It's pretty hot outside." Ma Wenfeng awkwardly walked over to Song Junju and started chatting. This teacher was definitely the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. As the saying goes, a fair lady is the gentleman's pursuit. Ma Wenfeng is a rough man, but he's no exception. Luckily, Ivora hot. Song Junju raised the brim of her sun hat and smiled. "By the way, Instructor Ma, how many push-ups did Yi Chu do?" Song Junju asked, because she had gone back to the office to fetch her hat. By the time she came out again, Yi Chu did 2 push-ups and then got up. 50. That kid has what it takes to be a soldier. Seeing Song Junju chatting with him, Ma Wenfeng couldn't have been more pleased. He quickly launched into topics he excelled at, telling Song Junju all about them. For instance, Yi Chu's physique was much stronger than that of new recruits. He follows orders well, etc. At 9 a.m., the temperature was rising. The sun beat mercilessly on the students' faces. Dismissed. Ma Wenfeng raised his hand and glanced at his watch. Over half an hour. The students of Class 12, Grade 10 heard this, and it sounded like heavenly music to their ears. The back that had been perfectly straight just a moment ago instantly slumped. Ma Xiaoyan directly collapsed onto the ground. Wailing loudly, Yi Chu sat on the ground, feeling a bit uncomfortable too. Complete 50 push-ups. After standing still for another half an hour, he was still a tender flower of the motherland. "Brother Yi, that was so awesome just now." Ma Xiaoyan edged closer to Yhu. His skinny body leaned directly against Yi Chu. "You can talk, but I'm not interested in men." Yi Chu unceremoniously pushed Ma Xiaoyan azide. "I'm not interested in men either." Ma Xiaoyan adjusted his lying posture, lying comfortably on the ground. "Hey, buddy, aren't you tired after doing 50 push-ups?" Wu Chun, who was sitting in front of Yi Chu, also turned around curiously. "Not tired at all." "Really?" Wu Chun didn't quite believe it. "Then why ask?" Yi Chu rolled his eyes at him. "Hee, I just think you're pretty impressive." Wu Chun smiled and scratched his head. "By the way, you said yesterday you can play basketball. Want to play?" "Sure. Set a time." Yi Chu said it briefly and to the point. I'll bring the ball tomorrow. Let's play together. Wu Chen's face lit up with joy, meeting a fellow baller on the first day of school. What else could he ask for? Count me in, count me in. Ma Xiaoyan suddenly squeezed between them. Can you play? Wu Chen sized up Ma Xiaoyan's small frame. He was afraid he'd knock Ma Xiaoyan flying. No bragging, but I'm known as the three-point prince of #1 high school. Ma Xiaoyan tilted his head at a 45-degree angle, gazing at the sky, putting on a look of profound mystery. But soon, he lowered his head. Too damn bright. All right, let's do it tomorrow then. Wu Chen was happy with that too. Making friends in a new environment. Two ways, smoking or playing basketball. He didn't smoke, but playing basketball was his forte. You three come with me to the supermarket. The teacher will treat you to a drink. A gentle female voice came over, interrupting the conversation of Yi Chu and the other two. Really? Teacher? Ma Xiaoyan sat up straight. His not-so-big eyes showed surprise. Let's go. Song Junju said to Ma Wenfeng again. Then she led Yi Chu and the other two away. Ma Wenfeng seemed to want to say something, but stopped. Actually, he could have gone too. Teacher, where's the supermarket? With Ma Xiaoyan around, the atmosphere never gets dull. Then Ma Xiaoyan went to Song Junju's side and looked around left and right. He almost put his hand over his forehead to imitate the Monkey King. It's right ahead. Song Junju thought Ma Xiaoyan was a real character. She smiled and pointed the way for him. Is military training tiring? Song Junju asked again. This little military training is nothing. Ma Xiaoyan was the first to say. Not too tiring. Wu Chen glanced at Song Junju, but quickly lowered his head. He felt that Teacher Song was glowing. Tired. If someone asked Yi Chu to practice boxing right now, he would be very willing. It's from doing push-ups. Song Junju turned his head to look at the tall boy behind him. No, I just don't want to do military training. Yi Chu said to Song Junju with a smile. Teacher, can you sign an excuse note for me? I can't give that. The teacher also has to report to the academic affairs office. It's best not to ask for leave. Song Junju shook his head and refused. All right, Yi Chu was just saying that. Experience high school life. Military training is also an essential part. Arriving, Song Junju led them to the front of the supermarket and said, a huge blue sign with white iron letters on it, shining brightly under the sunlight. What a big supermarket, Yi Chu thought to himself. It's much better than the high school supermarket in his previous life. After a moment, the three each carried a box of energy drinks and walked out of the supermarket. Teacher, I will never forget your kindness today, Ma Xiaoyan said with a solemn expression. Yi Chu thought that if Ma Xiaoyan had both hands free, he clasped his hands together in salute. Song Junju covered her mouth and chuckled lightly. This Ma Xiaoyan is too funny. Then the four quickly walked back. It's too hot, everyone. Our beautiful and kind teacher Song bought us drinks. Why don't you thank her? Just as they returned to the class's military training spot, Ma Xiaotian shouted loudly. He put down the box in his hands, then opened it and distributed to the classmates. Yi Chu and Wu Chen also opened their boxes, passing out drinks to the students. Everyone got the ice-cold drinks. Their eyes instantly lit up. Looking at Song Junju, they shouted loudly, Thank you, teacher. Ma Wenfeng saw Song Junju smile, as if he had seen a fairy, unconsciously staring straight at her. Here, instructor, Yi Chu noticed Ma Wenfeng staring directly at Song Junju. A sudden mischievous urge rose in his heart. He naturally walked up to Ma Wenfeng, blocking his view, handing the drink to Ma Wenfeng with a smile. Ahem, Ma Wenfeng snapped back to reality, cleared his throat twice, took the drink Yi Chu handed him, and said, Thanks, you're welcome. Yi Chu's face remained calm, but inside she was overjoyed. Wow, refreshing. Gao Yuan took a big gulp. The cold drink entered his stomach, making him feel much cooler all over. Hearing this, many nearby classes still in military training, their throats twitched slightly. They wished they had such a homeroom teacher too, buying drinks for them, a 4 yuan bottle of physical energy. Refreshing. Seeing Song Junju's retreating figure, Ma Wenfeng retracted his gaze and barked fallen. The students of class 12, grade 10 heard this sharp command and quickly stood up to stand at attention for an hour. After saying this, Ma Wenfeng walked alone to the back of the students, contentedly drinking the beverage Song Junju had bought. The morning passed slowly. At this moment, Yi Chu took the meal card that Song Junju had just given him and headed to the cafeteria. The school had topped up the meal card with 100 yuan. He would have to return it to the homeroom teacher tomorrow. Auntie, 1 chicken leg, 1 serving of stir-fried pork with peppers, 1 serving of shredded potatoes, and a bit more rice. Is that enough, kid? Yi Chu looked at the small portion of rice and quickly shook his head. Not enough, Auntie. The rice is too little. I won't be full. How about this, kid? Auntie, give me 5 more servings of rice like this. Kid, wasting food isn't good. Seeing the auntie earnestly trying to persuade him, she still scooped that much rice for Yi Chu. Yi Chu quickly took the tray and left the counter. Behind Yi Chu, the person standing nearby stared at the mountain of rice, unable to snap out of it for a long time. Brother Yi, with military training being so tiring, you can still eat that much? Ma Xiaoyan saw that Yi Chu's appetite was still the same as yesterday. He exclaimed in surprise, now unable to eat a single bite of food. All he wanted was to lie down and sleep. No wonder you're so thin, eating like a bird. At this moment, Wu Chen also walked over with his tray. Although his appetite wasn't as extreme as Yi Chu's, it was still nothing to scoff at. All right, let's eat. Only with a full stomach can you have the energy to face the afternoon training. With that, Yi Chu directly raised his spoon and dug in. He was too hungry. The pancake he had in the morning felt like he hadn't eaten at all, not to mention how much energy he had expended today. Time kept ticking away as the clock hands moved. Finally, the military training came to its last day. At this moment, the summer middle school playground was bustling with excitement. Now marching toward us is Class 12, Grade 10. With the host's words and the music playing from the broadcast, all the students of Class 12, Grade 10, displayed the results of their half-month military training in front of the entire school. Phew, the military training is finally over. Ma Xiaoyan wiped the sweat from his forehead, a grin spreading across his tanned face. Brother Yi, old Wu, how come you two didn't get tanned? Ma Xiaoyan looked at their normal skin tones, a puzzled expression on his face. Sunscreen. Yi Chu pulled a white bottle from his pocket. Sunscreen spray. Wu Chen also pulled a white bottle from his pocket. Wait, you 2 grown men use this stuff? Ma Xiaoyan exclaimed in surprise. In his eyes, real men never needed such things. Never mind whether we use it or not, our skin isn't tanned, right? Wu Chen smiled and draped his arm over Ma Xiaoyan's shoulder. Stop chatting. Go say goodbye to the instructor. Yi Chu pushed both of them by the shoulders toward where they had trained before. Classmates, say a proper farewell to the instructor. Song Junju led the students of Class 12, Grade 10, over to Ma Wenfeng. Goodbye, instructor. We'll miss you. Some of the more emotional girls had already started wiping away tears. Many of the boys also looked a bit sad. Even though the instructor was strict, he could be gentle sometimes, especially when Teacher Song was around. Ma Wenfeng looked at the students, who exuded a hint of aura, and felt a bit of sadness inside. These were the ones he had trained with his own hands. So naturally, he was reluctant to part. Just as he was gathering his emotions to say something, a voice suddenly rang out. Coach, this journey will be long and arduous. And after this farewell, we don't know when we'll see each other again. Wishing you a safe journey, instructor. Ma Xiaoyan then rushed out from the crowd, came before Ma Wenfeng, and clasped Ma Wenfeng's large hands with both of his. His eyes were full of sincerity. But the atmosphere, which had been somewhat sorrowful just a moment ago, was instantly swept away by Ma Xiaoyan's words and actions. Ma Wenfeng's eyes twitched, and he forcefully pulled his hand out of Ma Xiaoyan's grip, a stiff smile stretching across his face. Who knows, we might meet again someday. A brief departure is for a better reunion later. I understand that. Ma Wenfeng's face grew greener with each word. This kid doesn't have some weird habit, does he? The more he thought, the more wrong it felt. Ma Wenfeng unconsciously tightened his buttocks. He quickly waved his hand at everyone. Goodbye, classmates. After saying that, he patted Ma Xiaoyan on the shoulder and strode away. Goodbye, instructor. Goodbye, instructor. The students of Class 12 quickly waved their arms, watching the instructor leave. All right, let's head back to the classroom. Song Junju clapped her hands and said, Hey, Brother Yi, old Wu. Wasn't my line just now super cool? Ma Xiaoyan sidled up to Wu Chun and Yi Chu, eyes sparkling. Cultured. Wu Chun gave a thumbs up. Cool. Yechehe usimidet. If he guessed right. The instructor must have misunderstood. Ma Wenfeng quickly walked to the car and sat down. He glanced back and breathed a sigh of relief when he saw no one was chasing him. Wenfeng, did you get that female teacher's WeChat? As soon as Ma Wenfeng got in the car, an instructor in the car asked him. I forgot. Ma Wenfeng's face instantly went blank. He had clearly planned to ask for Teacher Song's WeChat before leaving. How could he have forgotten? He was too busy dealing with Ma Xiaoyan. Ah, Ma Xiaoyan, I'll remember you. TCH, the instructor in the car, shot a contemptuous glance at Ma Wenfeng upon hearing that. I gave you the chance, and you still couldn't make it count. Inside Class 1, Grade 10, we'll start formal classes tomorrow. The textbooks have already been distributed. Everyone, please preview them this afternoon. Got it, teacher. Some students didn't need Song Junju to tell them. They had already taken out their books and started studying as soon as they returned to the classroom. For example, Yi Chu. At this moment, Yi Chu was looking at Chapter 1 of Compulsory Math, I, Sets, and Common Logical Terms. Although his memory had greatly improved now, he still felt it was better to read more, trying to grasp the meaning behind it, so that it would be easier to tackle problems later. When it came to choosing subjects in sophomore year, he planned to select the liberal arts track. The improvement in memory gave him great confidence in getting high scores in the liberal arts. In his previous life, he had heard other classmates say that science majors made it easier to find jobs later. So he had resolutely chosen science then. But the result was that only those with good science grades found good jobs. Those with poor grades were still the same. So this time, with the aid of a powerful memory, Yi Chu wanted to choose liberal arts. Teacher, when are we going to elect class cadres? A girl raised her hand and asked. As soon as she said this, everyone immediately put down their books and looked at Song Junju with great curiosity. Song Junju looked up upon hearing this, glanced at the girl who spoke, then looked at the curious gazes of the whole class, and said with a smile, I originally planned to choose at the last class. But let's just choose now. Really, teacher? Teacher, I want to be the class monitor. You? Want to be the class monitor? I think you'd make a better station chief. The classroom instantly became noisy. Yi Chu had to look up from his book. Resting his chin on his hand, he looked at Song Junju. Quiet down. Song Junju knew her voice was small, so she clapped her hands on the podium. The previously noisy classroom instantly fell silent. They thought the usually gentle teacher was angry. I have only one requirement for our class monitor. Song Junju held up a slender finger. Smiling, she said, Teacher, what requirement? The students below were drawn to her words and couldn't help asking. The requirement is someone who can manage the class. Song Junju said slowly. You've all seen that I'm not suited to be a homeroom teacher, but since the school insists, I'll do it. So our class monitor, it must be strict. Whether the teacher is in class or not, the class monitor will be in charge. Who thinks they can do it? Becoming class monitor has nothing to do with grades. Okay? Song Junju finished speaking, her eyes shining brightly as she looked at the students below the stage. Great idea. Yi Chu couldn't help but inwardly give Song Junju's idea a thumbs up. He had been a little worried before. With Song Junju being such a gentle teacher, becoming a homeroom teacher in charge of students, she would definitely be driven mad by the students. But Song Junju's requirements for the class monitor not only avoided being provoked by the students, but also allowed her to maintain a good teacher-student relationship. However, it's a bit tough on the class monitor, who will want to take on this thankless and exhausting task. Upon hearing this, the students below the stage all lowered their heads and whispered among themselves. Even Ma Xiaotian leaned in to Yi Chu and said, Brother Yi, do you want to be the class monitor? I'll definitely support you. No way. I don't want to offend people for no reason. Yi Chu shook his head and refused. Indeed, without some capability, how can one manage the class? I'm curious to see which brave soul will be the first to raise their hand. Ma Xiaotian's eyes scanned the surroundings. Teacher, I'd like to try. Teacher, I'd like to try. Just then, a clear and crisp voice reached everyone's ears. Everyone followed the sound and looked over. They saw that the speaker was a girl. The girl had her hair in a ponytail. Even though military training had just ended, her face was still fair and pale, and her features were quite delicate. At this moment, the girl rested her elbows on the desk, raised her hand, and looked at Song Junju with a serious expression. A flicker of doubt crossed Song Junju's face. Could such a well-behaved little girl keep the class in order? But in order not to dampen the students' enthusiasm, adhering to the principle of changing if it doesn't work, Song Junju smiled and nodded, saying, "Then I'll entrust the class to you. Class monitor. Teacher, I'll do my best." The girl received affirmation, and a smile appeared on her face. She was called Pei Chioer. Her father often reminded her, "You have no siblings. In the future, our family's company will only rely on you. Study hard and gain knowledge, so that managing the company later will be easier." Pei Chioer remembered this. That's why she wanted to become the class monitor. She thought of the class as a small company. If she wanted to manage the family company well in the future, she had to manage the class well now. All right, the class monitor has been decided. It's Pei Chioer. Next should be the Youth League branch secretary. After Song Junju finished speaking, the students below were all confused. What is a Youth League branch secretary? They had never heard of it. Teacher, what is a Youth League branch secretary? Gao Yuan raised his hand and asked. The Youth League branch secretary is a role taken by a Youth League member. They collect the annual Youth League dues and also attend some school meetings on behalf of the class. Are there any Youth League members in our class? Song Junju looked around at the students below. Teacher, I am. Yichu looked in surprise at Ma Xiaoyan, raising his hand. I didn't expect Ma Xiaoyan to be so good at hiding his abilities. As a Youth League member, middle school was a bit easier, high school was tough, and university is even more so. Of course, this is for those who don't study well. Those who study well already have the little green booklet in hand. Ma Xiaotian, Song Junju saw the person who raised their hand. She said, "Are you interested in being the class league secretary?" No. Upon hearing this, Ma Xiaoyan immediately withdrew his hand. Just as everyone was confused, Ma Xiaoyan spoke again. Teacher, I want to be the Chinese class representative. The Chinese class representative can wait for now. Song Junju helplessly shook his head. He asked again, "Is there any other league member in our class?" "Yes." Li Yuner's voice was as faint as a mosquito's. She looked up at the people around her, then quickly lowered her head. Bai Yueying put her ear close to Li Yuner's mouth and said, "What did you just say?" "I am a league member." Li Yuer whispered. "Teacher, she Li Yuer is." Upon hearing this, Bai Yueying quickly grabbed Li Yuer's little hand and raised it. "All right, then our class's league branch secretary will be Li Yuer." Bai Yueying breathed a sigh of relief. She had just heard Li Yuer speak, but she hadn't heard clearly. Luckily, she asked. Otherwise, Li Yuer would have missed the opportunity to become a class cadre. When Li Yuer heard she was to be the league branch secretary, she wanted to refuse, but was too embarrassed to speak up. So she gave up and lowered her head, blushing. Next was the academic monitor, to be held by Su Muyu, who had the highest grades in the class. Song Junju finished speaking and continued. Is anyone willing to serve as the life monitor? They will be mainly responsible for the class's hygiene, arranging the daily duty roster, and also during the big cleanups, all arranged by the life monitor. Teacher, I'll do it. Gao Yuan immediately raised his hand. Good. Song Junju wrote the words life monitor next to Gao Yuan's name. Next are the subject representatives. This position will be held by the person with the highest score in a single subject. First, Chinese language, Song Junju said. Her eyes scanning, she said, the highest score in Chinese is Song Junju showed a surprised expression. Then she looked at Ma Xiaoyan and said, Ma Xiaoyan, as you wished. Your Chinese score is the highest in our class. 116 points. You are the teacher's representative for this subject. Teacher, I will definitely live up to your expectations. I will study Chinese hard. Ma Xiaoyan stood up abruptly with a whoosh. With a serious face, he said, Okay. First, sit down and don't disturb others. Seeing everyone covering their mouths and snickering, Song Junju also had a headache. Before, she thought this kid was quite interesting, but now. Next is the math class representative. These are the class cadres for our class. Everyone applauded to welcome them. Song Junju clapped with a full smile. Clap, teacher. As everyone was applauding, Wu Chun suddenly stood up. The others were a bit confused by this. What's wrong? Song Junju asked. Why isn't there a PE monitor? Wu Chun couldn't help but ask. He wasn't interested in the other class representatives. He only cared about the PE monitor. But he waited and never heard the teacher mention it. so he couldn't help standing up and asking. The teacher doesn't know much about physical education. I was planning to let the PE teacher choose one himself. Song Junju said with a slight, apologetic tone. Do you want to be it? MHM. Wu Chen quickly nodded. This was exactly what he had been waiting for. All right, then you're the PE monitor. Make sure to cooperate well with the teacher. Song Junju added another reminder. Before writing the 4 big characters, PE monitor, next to Wu Chen's name. Sure. Only then did Wu Chen sit down satisfied. All right, everyone, start previewing. I won't disturb you any longer. The afternoon passed by quickly. The bell for the end of class rang at that moment. Class dismissed. Everyone, don't be late tomorrow. Song Junju stood up, picked up her book, and was the first to leave the classroom. Got it, teacher. Those who had already packed their backpacks in advance hurriedly said goodbye to those around them. Then they ran out of the classroom. Brother Yi, I'll head off first too. Ma Xiaotian also finished packing his backpack, greeted Yi Chu, and dashed out through the back door. These past few days, Ma Xiaotian's family has been picking him up, so that's why he was in such a hurry. Brother Yi, I'm leaving too. Wu Chen also finished packing his backpack and greeted Yi Chu. Bye. A few days ago, during free time and military training, I practiced ball skills with Wu Chen. His excellent skills immediately made Wu Chen call him brother. Bie, Yi Chiheu. Bai Yuing and Li Yuer also waved goodbye to Yi Chu. Bye. Yi Chu also finished packing his backpack and stood up. The reason he left so late was that there were too many people just after school. He wasn't in a hurry to go home anyway. There was another girl in the class, just like Yi Chu, who was only now packing her bag to leave. Yi Chu remembered her name, seemed to be Su Muyu, a girl with a rather aloof appearance and temperament. Bye. When Yi Chu looked at her, Su Muyu's cold gaze swept over as well. Yi Chu greeted her goodbye very naturally. Su Muyu was taken aback for a moment upon hearing this, then nodded in acknowledgement. Afterwards, she quickly left the classroom. Could she be a girl with social anxiety like Li Yuera? Yi Chu muttered as he walked out of the teaching building. At this moment, the last rays of sunset had faded away, and the dim sky enveloped the entire world. Listening to the English words coming through his earphones, Yi Chu enjoyed himself with his hands behind his head, strolling lazily toward the school gate. The teenager's relaxed vibe was fully displayed at this moment. On the street, diagonally opposite the school, a black Audi was parked there. Miss, let's go, Uncle Lee. Click with the turn of the key in the door lock. The engine's sound instantly roared to life. Inside Class 1, Grade 10. Everyone, turn to page 112. The teacher will first familiarize you with the welcome unit vocabulary. Then we'll study the text. A stylishly dressed female teacher, holding an English textbook in her hand, stood at the podium, her name, Shui Tingting, written on the blackboard behind her. Everyone read along with the teacher. Exchange, communication. The standard English accent flowed from the English teacher's red lips. Exchange, communication, the class repeated after her tone. Yi Chu was among them, even though he had already memorized the vocabulary for this unit last night. A good attitude toward learning is the prerequisite for scoring high, enjoying high school life, and achieving good grades. This was Yi Chu's current life goal. With immersive learning, time still passed quickly. The hand of the clock above the blackboard ticked away, tick-tock, tick-tock. The first class was nearing its end. It was 8:44. Shui Tingting closed the English book and said, "Is the English class representative?" "Teacher, it's me." A petite girl sitting in the second row against the wall raised her hand. "Good," Shui Tingting nodded. Then she added, "The workbook hasn't arrived yet. Today, you will write the words from the welcome unit covering the entire unit's vocabulary. Write them on your exercise books. 3 English words and 1 Chinese word. Hand them into my office tomorrow." Just then, the bell rang for the end of class. Everyone stood up. After the English teacher left, the classroom instantly erupted into noise. Brother Yi, let's go play ball." Wu Chen held the ball under his arm and against his waist, and patted Yi Chu's shoulder with his left hand. Hearing this, Yi Chu looked at Wu Chen's outfit, a basketball jersey, shorts, and sneakers, and couldn't help twitching the corner of his eye as he said, "Playing ball, right after the first class?" "Yeah. Brother Yi, are you coming?" "No. Isn't there PE class this afternoon? I don't feel like moving now." Yi Chu shook his head and refused. "All right, Xiaotian, are you going?" Seeing Yi Chu wasn't going, Wu Chun turned his attention to Ma Xiaoyan. No, I still need to memorize ancient poems. Ma Xiaoyan didn't even lift his eyes. Ever since English class ended, he had taken out his Chinese textbook and started reviewing the ancient poems at the back. Bro Yi, why are you already doing homework? Wu Chun looked at Yi Chu, who had been chatting with him just moments ago, but was now already working on the homework the English teacher had just assigned. Finish it early, get it done early, Yi Chu said while reciting silently. Then I won't play either. I'm going to do homework too. Wu Chun glanced at the basketball in his hand, and it suddenly lost its appeal. He quickly ran back to his seat, clutching the basketball to do homework. His desk mate, Kong Sheng, was the slightly chubby boy who had carried military training uniforms with Song Junju on the first day of school. Seeing Wu Chun return with the basketball again, he asked in surprise, "Why are you back? Yigu and Ma Xiaoyan aren't going. How about you come with me?" Wu Chun said, "I'm not going." Kong Sheng quickly shook his head in refusal. Back then, during the free time of military training, Wu Chun always played basketball with Yi Chu. These guys would also go over to watch. How should I put it? When their bodies collided, it was like two wild bulls. If he went, he'd definitely get knocked flying. Wu Chun's physique was tall and strong. Only Yi Chu, who looks thin but is actually very strong, could match him. TCH, then I'll study instead. Wu Chun put down the ball in his hand. He picked up a pen, took out his English notebook, and began writing the homework the English teacher assigned. Seeing this, Kong Sheng also lost his desire to daydream. He also started doing his homework. The class bell soon rang. Many people groaned and walked back to their seats. For students, the 10-minute break never seems long enough. The second class was math. As the bell for class drew to a close, a middle-aged man, with a thermos in his left hand and a book in his right, leisurely walked up to the podium of Class 12, Grade 10. "Stand up," came Pei Chioer's voice. She was gradually getting used to her role as class monitor. "Good morning, teacher." The students all stood up promptly, shouting loudly, "Good morning. Be seated." The middle-aged man put down his thermos and book. With a kind expression, he said, "Let me introduce myself. I will be your math teacher from now on. My name is Wang Jinhua, and I am also the homeroom teacher of Class 7. If you can't find me in the office, you can come to Class 7. Wang Jinhua picked up a piece of chalk. He wrote swiftly on the blackboard, "All right, class, open your math textbooks. Today, we're going to learn about sets." For the entire morning, Yi Chu was immersed in the ocean of knowledge. He had never found listening to lectures and pondering knowledge to be so interesting before. After lunch, Yi Chu returned and sat straight down at his desk. He began working on the math problems assigned by the teacher. "Not now, Brother Yi. You finished your homework. What about evening self-study?" Ma Xiaoyan came over and said. He had figured it out. Brother Yi was too studious. Except for going to the bathroom and lunch, he never rested, either doing homework or reading from books. Evening self-study. Yi Chu pondered it. He had forgotten that there would be evening self-study every day from now on. 3 sessions of evening self-study. School ends at 9:30. During evening self-study, he would study other knowledge. Yi Chu nodded affirmatively. "Stop studying, Brother Yi. First class this afternoon is P. Let's play basketball." Wu Chun came over at this moment. He grabbed Yi Chu's right hand holding the pen, not letting him move. Yi Chu's eyes flashed a hint of helplessness. He put down the pen and said with a half smile, "What if we have to do calisthenics?" "Holy crap, you're right." Wu Chun was so shocked that he stood straight up and burst out cursing. "After second period today, during the break, we do calisthenics." The entire first year section saw the second and third years doing it. I don't know which leader also said something. Give them time to learn from the PE teacher. It's obvious they'll learn during PE class. Wu Chun instantly looked like life had lost its meaning. Not being able to play basketball in PE class was pure torture for him. Yi Chu watched Wu Chun's desolate figure, twitch the corner of his mouth, truly a boy who loved basketball. Ma Xiaoyan was sleeping face down on the desk. Wu Chun sat staring up at the ceiling. Seeing no one was disturbing him, Yi Chu immersed himself in the math problems again. As the class bell rang, it signaled the end of the lunch break. A young man, striding with vigorous steps, stepped straight into Class 12 of Grade 10. "Classmates, I'm your PE teacher, Zhou Yang. Now follow me to the playground." Scrape, scrape. As chairs were pushed around, everyone stood up and followed behind Zhou Yang. Once on the playground, Does our class have a sports monitor? Zhou Yang asked. Yes, I am, teacher. Wu Chun hurriedly stepped forward and said, looks pretty sturdy. Zhou Yang patted Wu Chun on the shoulder, handed him a blank sheet of paper, and said, take roll call and see if everyone is here. Oh, okay. Wu Chun took the paper and read out, Su Muyu, here. Wang Nan, here. Zhang Yunting, here. Ye Chehu, here. Teacher, everyone as present. Wu Chun returned the list to Zhou Yang. Good. Zhou Yang nodded and said with a smile, it's only been a day since military training started. How do you already forget how to line up? No, sir. Hearing this, everyone quickly stood up in the formation they used during training. Let me talk about our PE class arrangement. Zhou Yang looked at the swiftly moving students, and a smile appeared on her face. In a bit, the sports monitor will lead you in running 3 laps around the track. Then come back for warm-up exercises. After that, I'll teach you the radio calisthenics. Teacher, aren't we having P? Gao Yuan spoke up in protest. Zhou Yang wasn't angry and said with a smile, radio calisthenics is also part of P. Isn't it? If you behave well, I'll give you half a period of PE. Really? Teacher? Wu Chen's eyes lit up. He thought there was no hope left, but didn't expect a twist of fate. Really? Now you lead the running. Yes. Wu Chun immediately sprinted over. The man in the first row quickly followed. Then Yi Chu led the second row to follow. All right, that's it for today's exercises. Zhou Yang finished the last move of the routine and said to the crowd, who were physically present but mentally elsewhere, oh yeah. Their eyes sparkled at the words. They were about to dash off, but Zhou Yang called them back. Practice more after class. Next time, don't just stand there like statues. Got it, they sighed in relief, thinking they'd have to do exercises again, and they scattered in a rush. Buroye, Broyi, let's go play basketball. Wu Chun pulled out a basketball from somewhere. He ran straight up to Yi Chu. Let's go. Wu Chun has been talking about it all morning. Yi Chu is not one to break his word. We might as well get some exercise. Balancing work and rest maximizes gains. Yi Chu and Wu Chun walked into the basketball court. They casually found a hoop and started shooting to warm up. Yi Chu first dribbled the ball, then he did a 3-step layup, sending the ball steadily into the hoop. That's right, sending is the word. Yi Chu's jumping ability is pretty good. At 1.82 meters, he can touch the rim. A little taller, and he could dunk. Swish the ball past through the chain net, making a crisp sound, because regular nets would be damaged in a few days. The sports department had simply replaced all the nets with iron ones. They're convenient, dirt-resistant, and don't need replacing. Only during basketball games do they switch back to regular nets. Nice, Brother Yi and Old Wu. I just went to the bathroom. You two are playing basketball behind my back, huh? Ma Xiaoyan arrived at the basketball court and saw the two of them shooting hoops. He was furious. He had only gone to the bathroom for a moment, and when he came back, they were already gone. He had to ask a classmate to find out where they had gone. Brother Yi, and I didn't see you either. Wu Chun handed the ball to Ma Xiaoyan, put his arm around his shoulder, and chuckled. Then I forgive you. Ma Xiaoyan cleared his throat, spun the ball in his hand, and shot it directly. Swished the ball went through the net cleanly. Amazing. Yi Chu and Wu Chun clapped without holding back. Of course, do you know who I am? Ma Xiaoyan put his hands on his hips, looking smug. Playing basketball? Take us with you. A familiar voice came over. The three turned to look and saw a physical education teacher, Zhou Yang, arriving at the basketball court with 6 boys. Sure, teacher, let's play full court. Wu Chun said excitedly. Come on. Zhou Yang didn't hesitate either. Since we have exactly 10 people, why not play a full court game? Yi Chu looked at his own clothes. A white patterned short-sleeved shirt, slim black trousers, and black flat shoes. This didn't look like something he could play full court basketball in. Come on, Brother Yi. Ma Xiaotian pulled Yi Chu in front of Zhou Yang and the others. All right, Yi Chu thought helplessly. He couldn't spoil the fun. It seemed he'd have to keep some spare clothes in his bag from now on. Just as he was thinking, Yi Chu glanced at Wu Chun, who was fully dressed in basketball gear. The ball toss to decide teams ended quickly. Ye Chiheu, Zhou Liang, Zhang Yunting, Gao Yuan, and Yu Zifeng were on one team. Wu Chun, Ma Xiaoyan, Chen Yi, Kong Sheng, and Zhao Xingzhou were on the other team. Just as everyone was splitting into teams, the rest of the class also arrived at the basketball court. The court was large enough and surrounded by iron fences, so there was no worry about the ball rolling away. Unless the shot is too high, Yichu was going to play ball again. Little Yuer, let's find a good spot. Bai Weiing pulled Li Yuer's hand and ran towards the back of the backboard. The group of classmates quickly found their spots. Yichu and the others started as well. Wu Chun and his team served the ball first. At this moment, Wu Chun was dribbling the ball and charging straight towards the basket. Gao Yuan and the other two didn't dare to confront Wu Chun, quickly dodging. Seeing this, Yichu stepped forward and blocked Wu Chun's path. When Wu Chun saw brother Yi coming to defend, he stopped and kept dribbling between his legs, trying to find an opportunity to break through. As for physical confrontation, Wu Chun knew he wouldn't gain any advantage. Look at you. How can you be distracted while playing ball? Yichu revealed a slight smile. With a quick right hand, he directly swatted the ball out of Wu Chen's hands. Zhang Yunting's face lit up with joy. He caught the ball in his hands, just in time before Kong Sheng's defense. He passed the basketball to Zhou Yang. Zhou Yang flicked his wrist. The basketball shot straight toward the hoop. Swish Yichu didn't even need to look. He just jogged back to defend. Wu Chun and his team got the ball again. This time, they learned their lesson. They guarded Yichu tightly, their eyes fixed on him. Yichu, helpless, drifted lazily at the back. It just so happened that playing basketball in this outfit was uncomfortable. So he was happy to take it easy and let someone else have the fun. But some people weren't happy. These girls came to the basketball court just to watch Yichu play. Seeing that Yichu was being tightly guarded, a group of girls gritted their teeth in frustration. But soon they cheered. They saw Yichu leap high to catch a pass from the air. He dribbled between his legs and faked out Zhao Shengze. Zhao Shengze, being inexperienced, naturally fell for it. By the time he reacted, Yichu was already gone. Yichu easily dodged the defense of Ma Xiaoyan and the others. Then he moved under the basket. Wu Chun leaped high to block the shot, but Yichu didn't follow the usual pattern. He switched from his right hand to his left, guiding the ball into the hoop. Nice shot, Zhou Yang shouted. He clapped. That shot was beautiful. Some of the girls on the sidelines also clapped. Their gazes at Yichu were full of shyness. Handsome and good at basketball. If that's not a dream guy, what is? Yichu didn't get cocky. After making that shot, he focused on assists and roaming. Until class was about to start. Everyone reluctantly stopped, still wanting more. Most students on the court headed back to class, while a few stayed on the court. Brother Yi, couldn't you have let me take that shot just now? Ma Xiaoyan's gaze was full of resentment. That shot, just now, Yichu had blocked it big time, and it really frustrated him. Next time, for sure. Yichu changed the subject. He lifted his white short-sleeved shirt to wipe the sweat off his face. Revealed 6 clearly defined abs. It was still too hot in the afternoon. He had only been exercising for a short while, but Yichu was already sweating profusely. Yichu's physique stunned Ma Xiaoyan and the others. It even stirred the hearts of the female classmates still on the basketball court. No way, he has abs too? And 6-pack at that. Holy cow, Yichu actually has abs. So handsome. What are you standing there for? Let's go. Seeing everyone staring at him dumbfounded, Yichu was a bit puzzled. Little did he know what his actions, just now, had done to these people. After PE class in the afternoon, they went back to the classroom for 2 more periods. In one study hall, after dinner, Yichu stood by the window, enjoying the pleasant breeze. He half closed his eyes, feeling extremely comfortable. By now, the sky was dim. The sun had long set. Yichu stretched again, long and lazily. He went back to his seat and took out his Chinese textbook, began reciting classical Chinese texts. Most seats in the classroom were empty. The students were enjoying campus life on the playground, but a few were sitting in the classroom, either chatting or burying themselves in study. For example, Ma Xiaoyan, sitting next to him, was writing and doodling with his head down. From time to time, he would stroke his chin and think. This made Yichu a bit curious. He leaned over and said, "Xiaodian, what are you writing?" Writing an outline. Seeing Yichu lean in, Ma Xiaoyan simply moved the notebook in front of Yichu. Yichu could now clearly see the scribbled and crossed out words on the notebook. Go for it. I believe you will achieve your dream. Yichu looked away and patted Ma Xiaoyan on the shoulder and said with a serious expression, "Thanks, Brother Yi. I will definitely succeed." Ma Xiaoyan's gaze was firm. He would definitely become a famous writer like the great Jin Yong. Pursuing dreams is certainly good, but don't forget to study either. Yi Chu was stunned himself after saying that. This was something he could say. Ma Xiaoyan didn't notice Yi Chu's unusual state. He just nodded and said, "Brother Yi, don't worry. I won't let it affect my studies." With that, he immersed himself once again in plotting the novel. He buried his head in writing. Yi Chu stared blankly at the ancient poem in the textbook. He fell into deep thought. When exactly did this thought arise in him? Was it when he went to that mediocre college? Or was it after graduating and struggling in society? Ye Cheheyu, Ye Cheheyu. A clear voice rang by Yi Chu's ear, pulling him out of his thoughts. Yi Chu looked at the fair hand in front of him. He looked up to see who it was. "What are you thinking about? I've been calling you for a while." Bai Weiing stood by Yi Chu's desk, a little curious. What was Yi Chu thinking about so deeply? Nothing, nothing. Yi Chu shook his head and changed the subject. "What's wrong? National Day is coming soon. Have you decided where to go?" National Day, Yi Chu was momentarily dazed, then realized. It's almost October 1st. There's going to be a 7-day holiday. No, Yi Chu shook his head. He hadn't planned for the National Day holiday yet. Just so happens, a new large shopping mall opened near our Central Square. It officially opens on October 1st. There's a barbecue place with a promotion. A group of 4 gets a discount. Halfway through, Bai Weiying's eyes were fixed on Yi Chu. Yi Chu caught on and said, "Sure, but aren't we still short 2 people? Just the 2 of us won't be enough. Don't worry, Xiao Yu will come too. We just need to call Ma Xiaoyan to make 4. Bai Weiying said, then walked over to Ma Xiaoyan. She quickly explained the situation. Ma Xiaoyan nodded upon hearing this. "In that case, I'll gladly join." "Hee okay." Bai Weiying giggled. "Then we've agreed. October 1st, Central Square, be there or be square." Ring, ring, ring. At this moment, the time reached 6 o'clock. The class bell rang, signaling that evening self-study was about to begin. 3 sessions of evening self-study, each session 1 hour. Then a 10-minute break. Class continues and ends promptly at 9:30. The first class of evening self-study was the class of homeroom teacher Song Junju. "Stand up." The class monitor Pei Chioer saw the teacher walk in. Immediately shouted, "Good evening, teacher. Good evening, students. Sit down." Song Junju pressed her hand down, gesturing for the students to sit. Everyone sat down in unison. Let's continue with today's classical Chinese lesson. Song Junju opened the Chinese textbook filled with characters. Turn to Returning to the Garden and Fields. Part 1, this page. Song Junju's gentle voice echoed through the classroom. Everyone quickly lowered their heads to jot down the key points. Class is almost over. I'll call on 2 students to recite this ancient poem. Those who can recite it. I'll give you less homework over the National Day holiday. Song Junju pulled out a trump card. After all, only by combining kindness with authority can you increase the students' interest in Chinese class. Although this was her first time as a homeroom teacher, it wasn't her first time teaching Chinese literature. As for sparking students' interest in Chinese, she knew a thing or two. "Teacher, can we volunteer to recite?" As soon as they heard about less homework over the holiday, the whole class erupted. Those who already had it memorized were itching to go, hoping the teacher would call on them. Bang! A loud sound rang in everyone's ears. Some people flinched in surprise. "Shut up and listen to the teacher." At that moment, the class monitor, Pei Chioer, came in handy. She swept her cold gaze across the entire class. Not a single person dared to meet Pei Chioer's eyes. Well, except for Yi Chu. He wasn't looking at Pei Chioer. Instead, he was staring at his textbook, trying to deepen his impression of this ancient poem. Even though he had already memorized it, he still felt it wasn't solid enough. If not 100%, then at least 98%. Song Junju saw this and was very pleased with Pei Chioer. Then she said, "All right, the teacher will pick 2 students. Let's start with our Chinese class representative." Song Junju looked at Ma Xiaoyan, who was staring back at her. Seeing the confidence in Ma Xiaoyan's eyes, Song Junju was willing to go easy on the students. In an instant, all the students' gazes fell on Ma Xiaoyan. Now Ma Xiaoyan carried the hopes of the entire class. Upon hearing this, Ma Xiaoyan's face lit up with joy. He stood up solemnly and nodded to the whole class. Then he began to recite, Return to the Garden and Fields, Part 1. Tao Yuanming. From youth, I lack the common taste. By nature, I love the hills and mountains. Long trapped in the cage of the world. Now I return to nature once more. Seeing Ma Xiaoqian recite it without a single mistake, everyone couldn't help but heave a deep sigh of relief. Good, Song Junju said with a slight smile, nodding. Next up will be Yi Chu. Yi Chu's expression paused at the words, but soon he put down his book and stood up. Brother Yi, we're counting on you, Ma Xiaoqian said softly. Everyone's eyes turned to Yi Chu. This was the last person. Go for it, Yi Chu. This time, they were even more nervous than before. If Yi Chu could recite it, their homework would be reduced. If he couldn't, it was all over. For a moment, the whole class fell silent. The sound from other classes drifting in from the hallway couldn't distract them at all. Then Yi Chu began to speak. Return to the Garden and Fields, Part 1. Tao Yuanming. From youth, I lacked the common taste. By nature, I love the hills and mountains. By mistake, I fell into the net of the world. Gone for 30 years, the courtyard is free of dust and clutter. An empty room has plenty of leisure, long trapped in a cage. I return to nature again. Good. Seeing Yi Chu complete the recitation perfectly, Wu Chun was the first to applaud. Then the whole class clapped joyfully as well. The reduction of Chinese homework is assured. Pei Chioer didn't bother at this time, because class was over. All right, the teacher will keep her promise. Class dismissed. Song Junju nodded approvingly, gathered her books, and left the classroom. Wow, Bro Yi, you're amazing. I can write less Chinese homework now. Wu Chun ran up to Yi Chu and shouted excitedly. Seeing the whole class so thrilled about writing less homework, Yi Chu couldn't help but smile. High school life is pretty great. September 30th, the last self-study session before the summer holiday at Zaire Middle School. The study committee member wrote the homework assignments for each subject on the blackboard. Song Junju said to Su Muyu, All right, so Muyu nodded lightly. She took out a light pink notebook, walking up to the podium along with math and English assignments written on the blackboard. Chinese homework was conspicuously missing. Teacher, what's the Chinese homework? A dark-skinned boy raised his hand and asked. Zhao Dahua, no one's treating you like a mute if you don't speak. Gao Yuan shot a glare at the boy who spoke. Many in the class were equally displeased with Zhao Dahua. If this wasn't a loose tongue, what was it? Deliberately trying to get the teacher to assign homework? Huh? I don't mind. Zhao Dahua glanced disdainfully at Gao Yuan. If you don't mind, then how about you write the homework? The teacher assigns later for all of us. Zhang Yunting twirled a pen in his left hand, resting his chin on his right hand, and said lazily, Do your own homework. Don't have hands. The chubby, fair-skinned boy next to Zhao Dahua shot back. For a moment, the atmosphere grew tense. Many classmates didn't even dare to breathe. Most of them were watching Gao Yuan and the others. A few, however, ignored the tense atmosphere. For example, Yi Chu and Ma Xiaoqian. Yi Chu was doing his holiday homework. He had already planned out his vacation. On the first day, he would have dinner with Bai Yueying and her friends, practice boxing, then stay in the countryside from the 2nd to the 5th day, practice boxing, and on the 6th day, return to the city on the 7th day to study. Practice boxing. Ma Xiaoqian, on the other hand, was writing a novel beside him, completely immersed in his own world, paying no attention to what was happening around him. As the argument among the few grew more intense, Pei Chioer suddenly slammed the table and said angrily, The teacher hasn't spoken yet. What are you in such a hurry for? Oomph. A gentleman doesn't argue with a woman. Zheng Xiaodong snorted lightly. Zheng Xiaodong was that chubby, fair-skinned boy. After that, Gao Yuan and Zhang Yunting stopped talking. They were afraid of leaving a bad impression on the teacher. Seeing how much Gao Yuan and the others feared Pei Chioer, Zhao Dahua's disdain grew stronger. His contempt was becoming more and more apparent. Song Junju nodded to herself in approval. This class monitor was exactly what she wanted. Then she spoke up. This assignment will be a reflection paper. A reflection paper? The class looked puzzled. There will be a military parade on National Day. I want all of you to watch it. Then write a reflection paper and hand it in. Song Junju said, Teacher, how many words? Wu Chun raised his hand and asked. 800. TCH, that's quite a lot. Teacher, can we make it shorter? Wu Chun smacked his lips. Having him write an 800-word essay in one go was a bit much for him. Yeah. Teacher, can we make it shorter? When one person speaks up, others follow. I can't even fabricate 800 words. No. Song Junju shook her head and refused. Stop bargaining. Otherwise, the teacher's previous words will be void. Add more homework. That's enough. Teacher, 800 words is just right. No need to assign more. When the crowd heard about adding homework, they all refused, saying that 800 words was just fine. Seeing this, Song Junju showed a faint smile. You little rascals, I can still handle you. Then class 12 fell into silence. Only the sound of pens and textbooks rubbing together. Rustling softly. This is a good opportunity to do homework now. If you finish early, you can play when you get home. Ring, ring, ring. The school bell rang. Song Junju stood up, packed up, and said, I wish everyone a happy holiday. Wish the teacher a happy holiday too. After everyone spoke, Song Junju left first. The students who had already packed their bags directly put on their backpacks and rushed out of the classroom at 200 miles per hour. I'm off, Yiga Xiaotian. Wu Chun packed his bag and greeted the two of them. Bye-bye, Yi Chu replied, as he casually packed his bag. I'm heading out too, brother Yi. Ma Xiaoyan had also finished packing his bag. Xiaotian, Yi Chu, don't forget to go to the Central Square tomorrow. Bai Yueying reminded them before leaving. Got it. Bye. Ma Xiaoyan waved his hand. Got it. Yi Chu also waved. Bai Yueying smiled and left, pulling Li Yuer along. Soon, only the class monitor, Su Muyu, and Yi Chu were left in the classroom. You go first. I'll turn off the lights. Yi Chu put his earbuds in and said to Su Muyu. Summer middle school didn't ban students from using phones, as long as they didn't play with them during class, or disrupt classroom order. Using them to look up information at other times was something the school supported. Su Muyu said nothing. She nodded and left the classroom first. Yi Chu didn't mind. Usually, aside from answering questions in class, he had never seen Su Muyu speak. He turned off all the lights in the front and back of the classroom. Before leaving, he also closed the door. Let's go, Yi Chu said to Su Muyu, who was standing outside the door. The two of them walked to the school gate together. At this moment, the moon hung high in the sky. The lights outside the school were very bright. They could clearly see students carrying backpacks leaving with their parents. Bye. Yi Chu said goodbye to Su Muyu. Bye. Su Muyu's voice was cool and clear. Yi Chu was a bit confused. He thought he had just heard Su Muyu speak. In the past, when they came out together, she had never said a word. But then Yi Chu shook his head and smiled. It's not like she couldn't talk. She just didn't want to. Back home, Yi Chu threw his backpack onto the sofa. He first did 2 push-ups to warm up, then took out the dumbbells and started lifting. He turned the phone volume up to max, listening to English words as he exercised, while lifting dumbbells, a true balance of work and rest. After lifting dumbbells for half an hour, Yi Chu took out his boxing gloves and started practicing punches on the punching bag. He had bought all these things over the past few days. Every evening after school, he'd warm up for half an hour, then box for half an hour, then shower and sleep. This was living. Compared to this, his old high school was a complete mess. Oh, right back then, they had 8 people to a dorm room. You can imagine the environment. The next morning, Yi Chu got up early, recited some classical texts, and memorized a unit of English vocabulary. By then, it was already 8:30. He washed up, went downstairs, grabbed 2 steam buns from a random breakfast shop, then took a taxi straight to Central Square. Hey, I'm at Central Square. Where are you guys? After getting out of the car, Yi Chu called Bai Yueying. Milk tea shop. Looking around, he finally spotted the milk tea shop behind him. He walked over and, through the glass, indeed saw Bai Yueying's figure. And Li Yuner's too. At that moment, Li Yuer turned her head and saw Yi Chu. She quickly tugged at Bai Yueying. Bai Yueying, who was waiting for the milk tea, noticed. She also turned to look outside the glass. Seeing Yi Chu arriving, Bai Yueying first pointed at the 3 cups of milk tea in her hand, then stretched out her slender index finger, meaning there was still 1 cup missing. Yi Chu instantly understood and quietly waited for the 2 of them. Just like before, Yi Chu gave a slight smile. But in a few years, it will be different. Due to the rise of Hongyun Mall, the small shops around here have been doing better and better. Some shops have even opened chain stores, which shows the impact Hongyun Mall has had on the surrounding area. The new mall Bai Yueying mentioned was Hongyun Mall. Suddenly, Yi Chu's expression froze, but then joy quickly followed. Yi Chu thought, forgetting that Bai Yueying and Li Yuer were still waiting at the milk tea shop. He hurriedly stood up to check. A moment later, Yi Chu indeed saw several shops with for rent signs. Without a second thought, he took photos and sent them to his father, Yi Dalong. Although he had no real skills in his past life, at least he was a reincarnator, and he had a bit of knowledge about some things. Now he wanted his parents to rent these shops. Then they could sell fruits and their own honey. At this point, these merchants hadn't yet tasted the benefits that Hongyun Mall would bring. Yi Chu wanted to seize this opportunity, to let his parents rent them as soon as possible. "Hello, Dad." Yi Chu saw his father calling, and quickly answered, "Hello." "Xiao Chu, what did you send me?" Yi Dalong's loud voice came through. Yi Chu organized his words. "A large shopping mall has opened near the Central Plaza on Expressway. I saw that business is pretty good. There's a lot of foot traffic. I was thinking you and my mom could rent a shop here, open a fruit store, and also sell honey on the side." Seeing no response on the other end of the line, Yi Chu continued, "Didn't my mom always say she has nowhere to sell the honey? If you rent a shop, selling fruit and honey at the same time kills two birds with one stone. That way you won't have to keep running back and forth. And my mom won't have to worry about the honey not selling." "Is the crowd really that big?" Yi Dalong asked. "Really, Dad, just trust me." Yi Chu looked at the mall that hadn't opened for business yet, blatantly lying through his teeth. However, due to the angle of his view, Yi Chu hadn't actually seen that many people. In his previous life, at this time, he was too busy playing games at home. How would he have had time to come here to hang out? As for how he knew that the shops outside Hunyun Mall would become a hit, it was because he had chatted with an older man. That Uncle S brother was someone who, relying on the customer flow from Hunyun Mall, opened several more chain stores. "All right, I'll call and ask now." I don't know which of Yi Chu's words touched Yi Dalong's heart. "Dad, it's up to you." Yi Chu hung up the phone solemnly. At that moment, his desire for his father to rise to prominence reached its peak. "Dad, whether your son can inherit the family business depends on you." "Yi Chu, where'd you run off to?" Bai Yueying immediately called to ask as soon as she got through. After she and Li Yuer came out just now, they hadn't seen Yi Chu around. They thought Yi Chu had gotten bored and wandered off somewhere else. They had planned to wait a bit, but Ma Xiao Yin had already arrived by then. He even asked where Brother Yi had gone. Bai Yueying, seeing that he still hadn't shown up, simply called Yi Chu. "I just made a call. I'll come find you guys right now." After saying that, Yi Chu hung up the phone. He walked toward the milk tea shop. Dongyan Village, Yi Chu's home. Yi Dalong quickly told the matter to his wife Wu Ting, who was also Yi Chu's mother. "Xiao Chu makes sense. We can't keep running around selling fruits forever. The profit is low, and there's the burden of gas money. When the time comes, let's rent a shop. Selling fruits and honey can kill two birds with one stone." After Wu Ting heard Yi Dalong's words, she made a decision on the spot. "All right, since our son and daughter-in-law both agree, then let's rent a shop." Yi Dalong acted promptly. He immediately took the phone number Yi Chu had sent him and dialed it. "Hey, Yi Chu, where did you go? The mall is about to open." The three of them spotted Yi Chu's figure and immediately walked over. They handed the milk tea in their hands to Yi Chu. "Thanks," Yi Chu said as he took the milk tea. "I took a walk nearby. Brother Yi, drink up." Sister Ying treated us to milk tea. Ma Xiao Yin slurped down the milk tea quickly. Then he tore off the lid, tilted his head back, and poured the remaining black pearls into his mouth. "A cup of milk tea is enough to satisfy you." Yi Chu glanced at the milk tea in her hand. The next moment, she stuck the straw in. Slurp not bad. It was her favorite pearl milk tea. "Let's go. It's almost 10 o'clock. The mall is about to open." Bai Yueying said, "All right, should we go straight to the barbecue restaurant or browse around first?" Ma Xiao Yin asked. He hadn't eaten breakfast this morning. He only had the milk tea Bai Yueying gave him to fill his stomach. "Let's eat first, then browse around," Bai Yueying said after thinking for a moment. Agreed. All three were in consensus. As the time reached 9:30, fireworks and firecrackers rang out one after another, announcing the official opening of Hunyun Mall. The four of them followed the crowd into the hall. "Come on, let's head to the third floor. The barbecue restaurant is there." Bai Yueying held Li Yuer's hand. They quickly walked to the elevator. "Brother Yi, protect me." Ma Xiaoqian tightened his grip on Yi Chu's arm, afraid that his small frame would be pushed away by the crowd. "Got it." Yi Chu couldn't help but give a wry smile. His own strong arms. The first person they were protecting was actually a man. Under Yi Chu's protection, Ma Xiaoyan and Yi Chu arrived safely on the third floor. "Hurry over here." Bai Yueying saw the two coming up and quickly waved. "Coming." Ma Xiaoyan responded and walked over with Yi Chu. "Xiao Yuer, what do you want to eat?" Bai Yueying turned to look at Li Yuer, who seemed a bit nervous. I'm fine with anything. Li Wei glanced at the prices, feeling a bit anxious inside. What if I don't have enough money? Hand it over. He took the menu. After ordering the meat, Yi Chu said as the server left, I'll go pay first. When the meat arrives, you guys start grilling. Brother Yi, let me go. It's a hassle for you to go out. Ma Xiaoyan quickly grabbed Yi Chu's arm. Then, before Yi Chu could speak, Ma Xiaoyan ran to the front counter. Then we'll give the money to Xiao Tian later. Bai Yueying was about to stand up, but Ma Xiaoyan had already disappeared. She had no choice. All right, Yi Chu had no objection. Li Wei nodded upon hearing this. Soon, Ma Xiaoyan came back after paying. Holding the receipt, he said, It's 30% off, only 400 yuan. Then we'll transfer it to you now. Bai Yueying took out her phone from her bag. Li Wei secretly sighed in relief. She transferred the money to Ma Xiaoyan. So full, Bai Yueying patted her little belly. Her mouth was still savoring the taste of the barbecue. I'm also super full. Brother Yi, thank goodness you're here. Ma Xiaoyan tilted his head back, afraid that if he lowered his head, he would throw up all the food. This place is really good. Yi Chu stretched, full and comfortable. Maybe because it just opened. The portions of meat here are generous. Yi Chu alone ate a third of it, while Ma Xiaoyan and the others finished off the other 2/3. In the end, the three of them really couldn't eat anymore. They watched Yi Chu eat. Indeed, the title of Big Eater is well deserved. The title Big Eater somehow spread from someone's mouth. As it spread, most of the first-year high school students had heard of it. Even Yi Chu himself was no exception. When he heard it, he found it both funny and embarrassing. He didn't expect to become famous at school because of eating. He wasn't angry because after his rebirth, his appetite had doubled. He was indeed able to eat a lot. We'll come again next time. Ma Xiaoyan turned his head around, secretly memorized the name of the barbecue restaurant. We'll see if there's a chance next time. Let's go have a look around. Yi Chu picked up the thread, because he saw Li Wei's head drop instantly. Bai Yueying and Ma Xiaoyan, absorbed in the delicious meat, didn't notice at all. Come on, let's go explore. Sure enough, after Yi Chu's timely diversion, Bai Yueying got excited right away. She took Li Wei's hand and walked ahead. Yi Chu and Ma Xiaoyan walked behind them. During this time, Yi Chu scanned the crowd around them and couldn't help nodding to himself. No wonder it would later become the most famous mall in Wangyue City, truly deserving of its reputation. Oh, study committee member, you're here too? Bai Yueying's surprised voice rang out ahead. Yi Chu looked up and saw standing before Bai Yueying a tall girl in high ponytail, with delicate features. The girl was Su Muyu. She was also the study committee member of Class 12, Grade 10. Xiaoyu, are these your classmates? Standing beside Su Muyu were two women. The two women's attire clearly marked them as the virtuous wife and good mother type. Auntie, you are so beautiful. We are all students from Class 12, Grade 10. Before Su Muyu could speak, Bai Yueying sweetly complimented her. Among the group, Su Muyu immediately spotted Yi Chu, who stood out from the crowd. She saw Yi Chu smiling and nodding at her. Su Muyu quickly looked away. She said to her mother, They're my classmates. Young classmate, can Annie ask you for a favor? Upon hearing this, the woman's face lit up with joy. With hopeful eyes, she said to Bai Yueying, Auntie, please go ahead, Bai Yueying said, somewhat puzzled. Asking her for help. What help could she provide? Annie wants Xiaoyu to hang out with you all. Is that okay with you? The woman immediately blurted out. Although her daughter appeared cold and distant on the surface, she was very kind-hearted at heart. As her mother, she knew this perfectly well. Even she couldn't be by her daughter's side all the time. Every time her daughter had a break, she would take her out for a stroll to help improve her personality and encourage her to make more friends. This time, with Hanya Mall newly opened, she had dragged her daughter out. Unexpectedly, they ran into her daughter's classmate. At that moment, her heart was filled with anxiety. She hoped this classmate could take her daughter around, but also feared the young classmate might refuse. No problem at all. Just as the woman was feeling anxious, and her mind was racing with worries, the younger sister beside her tugged at her arm. The woman snapped out of it and immediately showed a joyful expression. Grabbing Su Muyu's snow-white hand, she said, Xiaoyu, go walk around with your classmates. Treat your classmates to a meal. I've sent the money to your phone. No need. Auntie, we just ate. Just walking around is fine. As soon as we heard Auntie mention eating, Bai Yueying quickly refused. Yeah. Ma Xiaoyan also shook his head. He was already stuffed, food up to his throat. Auntie, we'll be going now. Bai Yueing took Li Yuer and Su Muyu by the hand and quickly walked ahead, seeing the 5 figures disappear into the crowd. A gentle smile appeared on the woman's face. Sis, don't worry anymore. Xiaoyu is kind-hearted. He'll definitely make friends. The woman beside her comforted her. It's good as long as he makes friends. It's good as long as he makes friends. The woman muttered to herself. Then she looked at her sister and said, Let's us 2 sisters also take a walk. Yi Chu, Xiao Tian, what are you looking at? Seeing that Yi Chu and Ma Xiaoyan hadn't caught up yet, Bai Yueing held Li Yuer and Su Muyu's hands and walked over. An arcade. Li Yue murmurat softly. You 2 go ahead and shop first. I'm going to conquer this place with Brother Yi. Ma Xiaoyan waved his hand grandly, with a hint of spirited flair. Yi Chu didn't say anything, but his eyes, fixed intensely on the arcade, said it all. Class monitor, Xiao Yuer, do you want to come? I'm fine with anything. Li Yuer looked at the decorations inside and spoke timidly. Fine with anything. Su Muyu casually uttered 2 words. All right, let's go together then. Seeing that they didn't object, Bai Yueing pulled them past Yi Chu and Ma Xiaoyan and walked straight in. Brother Yi, let's go too, Ma Xiaoyan said, pulling Yi Chu's arm, and headed inside. They arrived at the front counter. Each of them exchanged for 30 tokens. Ma Xiaoyan, after getting the tokens, seemed like a different person. He strode aggressively over to the claw machine. Today, I'm going to grab 20 plushies. A moment later, Bro Yi, lend me 2 tokens. Let me try one more time. Ma Xiaoyan, with tears in his eyes, grabbed Yi Chu's arm. Yi Chu had no doubt that if he refused, Ma Xiaoyan would definitely burst into tears. Here, Yi Chu handed the cup of tokens to Ma Xiaoyan. Ma Xiaoyan grabbed a handful of tokens and prepared to challenge the claw machine again. Seeing this, Yi Chu's mouth twitched. You got 2 in your hand. That's almost 10, isn't it? How come I haven't caught a single one? Based on past experience, I should have caught at least one by now. No, this is definitely wrong. The machine must be broken. Let me do it. Yi Chu saw that Ma Xiaoyan hadn't caught a single plushie, then came to Ma Xiaoyan's side, pushed him aside with a clang. Clang. As Yi Chu dropped in 2 coins, the claw swayed. Yi Chu, in one smooth motion, grabbed the doll that Ma Xiaoyan had been unable to catch for ages. Ma Xiaoyan stood to the side, dumbfounded. How come I couldn't catch it after all that time? Brother Yi got on the first try. I'm reporting someone for cheating. It's for you. Yi Chu handed the B-shaped doll to Ma Xiaoyan. No matter how bad he was now, in his past life he'd played hundreds of rounds. He still had some skills. Ma Xiaoyan stared at the doll that had wasted all his coins without being caught. No, plus more than 10 of Brother Ye's coins that had also failed to catch it. Now, lying quietly in his palm. In that instant, his liver ached. Brother Yi, you're not just killing me. You're destroying my soul. If you don't want it, Yi Chu pretended to reach out to take it back. Unexpectedly, Ma Xiaoyan quickly stepped back 2 paces. He shielded the dolls behind him and said, Gimme, gimme, gimme. Then, Yi Chu achieved consecutive victories. 5 more different dolls were cradled in Ma Xiaoyan's arms. Awesome. Ma Xiaoyan unreservedly gave Yi Chu a thumbs up, as expected of his brother Yi. Yi Chu smiled smugly upon hearing this. Just then, Bai Yueing's voice came over. How many dolls have you caught? Bai Yueing was seen pulling Li Yuer and Su Muyu by the hand as they came over to the 2 of them. We caught 6. Ma Xiaoyan proudly lifted the dolls in his arms, so the 3 could see more clearly. One might think they were Ma Xiaoyan's trophies, but the next moment, Ma Xiaoyan's expression stiffened. Whose catches are these? They're all for Brother Yi. Ma Xiaoyan's face instantly fell. Which one do you 3 want? Yi Chu spoke up to change the subject. Are you giving them to us? Bai Yueing, overjoyed, let go of the 2 girls' hands, quickly walked over to Ma Xiaoyan and began to carefully pick out one. Upon hearing this, Li Yuer's face also lit up with joy. Even Su Muyu, usually so aloof, showed a hint of emotion. After all, what girl doesn't love fluffy plush toys? I want this one. Bai Yueing had already picked out a toy first. It was a light blue alpaca. Brother Yi, you hold these. This will be his mine. Ma Xiaoyan handed the other 4 plush toys to Yi Chu, keeping the bee plush for himself. Yi Chu shook his head helplessly. He really treasured that bee like a treasure. Ma Xiaoyan said, since he spent over 40 coins and still couldn't catch that toy. How could he let someone else have it? He was going to keep this plush toy to always remind himself of the humiliation he suffered over it. Which one do you two choose? Yichu walked over to Sumuyu and Yuer and asked. He now has 4 plush toys left in his hands. A little white bear, a pink rabbit, a pink pig, and a green garlic turtle. I want this one. Li Wei pointed at the little white bear. She glanced at Yichu and quickly lowered her head. Here you go. Yichu handed the little white bear plush to Li Wei. Thank you. Li Wei took the little white bear plush and whispered. But due to the noise of the surrounding crowd and the intertwining music, Yichu didn't hear it. Sumiyu saw the 3 plush toys held in Yichu's hands, placed in front of her. For a moment, she was a bit confused.